video, we will discuss about the distance formula. The distance formula states that if point A with the coordinates of x sub 1 and y sub 1 and point B with the coordinates of x sub 2 and y sub 2 are any two points on the coordinate plane, then we can get the distance from point A to point B using the distance formula. We have here AB is equal to the square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. But how did we arrive at this formula? Now let me give you a brief discussion on how we arrived with the distance formula. We have here a coordinate system. We have y sub 1 and then y sub 2, x sub 1 and x sub 2 as. Now let's plot the points for point A and point B. We have here point A and point B. As you can see, for us to get the distance from point A to point B, let's say we draw a perpendicular line connecting the 2 points. And since this is a perpendicular line, we have here a right angle. And as you can see, we have formed a right triangle. Let's name this point as point B with the coordinates of x sub 2 and y sub 1. Now recall your knowledge about right triangles. If we talk about right triangles, one thing that will pop into your mind is the Pythagorean theorem. So as you can see, side AB here is the hypotenuse or C, and the other two sides here could be A and B. So if we apply the Pythagorean theorem, we can find the length of C by equating it to the square of the sum of the other two sides. There we have the square of the hypotenuse, or the longest side, is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. We will use this idea in order for us to derive the formula for the distance. Now let's say the hypotenuse here, which is C, could be replaced with the points A and B. And for A, which is this side, in order for us to get the length of the vertical side, we just have to subtract the x coordinates. We have x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And that is what we will substitute for the value of A. So instead of having A squared here, we have x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared. Then copy plus, and then for the second side, we have here b squared, but instead of having b squared, let us get the horizontal distance from point P to B, and that is y sub 2 minus y sub 1. So instead of having b here, we could substitute it with y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. Now, because we are to find for the length of AB, or the distance from point A to point B, we just have to extract square roots both sides for us to find for AB. There we have the square root of AB squared is simply AB, and then we got our formula. Now the distance from point A to point B is equal to the square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. And there we have the distance formula. Now let us have an example for this. For example number 1, we have here the points drawn on the Cartesian plane. We have here x and y. And our task here is to identify the distance between x and y. We can do that by first identifying the coordinates of x and y. We have here the coordinates of x, which are -2 and -6, and for y we have 5 and 5. Then we have to use the distance formula for us to get the distance between x and y. Take note that this is the formula that we have derived a while ago. So let us solve for this. Before we solve for this, take note that this is our x sub 1 and y sub 1. And then this is x sub 2 and y sub 2. Now we are ready to substitute all the given coordinates to our formula. Let's begin solving. So instead of having AB here, we could just replace it with XY, since that is the distance that we are looking for, and then substitute the values of our coordinates. The value of x sub 2 is equal to 5, and then x sub 1 is negative 2, y sub 2 is 5, and y sub 1 is equal to negative 6. Next step is we need to simplify this one by simplifying our operation into negative sign here. We have 5 minus negative 2, that becomes 5 plus 2 squared. And then 5 minus negative 6, that is simply 5 plus 6 squared. Then we will simplify this by adding all the numbers in the parentheses. We have 5 plus 2, that is equal to 7. Square 7, that is equal to 49. And then 5 plus 6, that is equal to 11. And the square of 11 is equal to 121. Next step is to simplify this further by adding this 2 number inside the radical sign. We have 49 plus 121, that is equal to 170. Therefore, we have xy is equal to the square root of 170, or is approximately 13.04 units. Therefore, the distance between x and y is 13.04 units. Now let's have another example. We have here the vertices of the triangle M and L are M, we have 8 and 7, N, 2 and 5, and for L we have 9 and 4. Then we are tasked to find for the distance of M and N, L and ML. And also we need to identify the perimeter of the triangle M and L. But before anything else, let's draw these points on the Cartesian plane so that we would be able to visualize how the triangle looks like. So we have here these points. We have M with the coordinates of 8 and 7, N, which we have here 2 and 5, and the last point is L, which is 9 and 4. As you can see here, our task is to get the distance from this side, and this side. And for letter B, we need to get the perimeter of triangle M and L. Take note that to get the perimeter, we need to add the distance of all the sides. So we can do that by applying the distance formula. Let's begin. So let us first solve for the first side, which is we need to get the distance from N to M, or MN. So we will be using this formula. Let us substitute the coordinates. We have here the value of x sub 2 is equal to 8, x sub 1 is 2, y sub 2 is 7, and y sub 1 is equal to 5. Next step is to simplify this. We have 8 minus 2, that is equal to 6, and then square that one, that is equal to 36. Copy plus sign, and then 7 minus 5, that is equal to 2. Square of 2, that is equal to 4. Next step is we need to combine these two numbers here, 36 plus 4, and that is equal to square root of 40. Since 40 is not a perfect square, we need to think of factors of 40 wherein one factor has a perfect square. Thus we have here the factors are 10 and 4. Now take the square root of 4, and that is equal to 2. Put that outside the radical sign, and since 10 is not a perfect square, it will remain inside the radical sign. Therefore, the distance from M to N is equal to 2 square root of 10. Now for the second side, we have to identify the distance between N and L. So we will be using this formula. Then let's substitute the values. So we have here x sub 2, which is 9, x sub 1, which is 2, y sub 2 is equal to 4, and y sub 1 is equal to 5. Then let us simplify this one. We have 9 minus 2, that is equal to 7, and and then square that one, that is equal to 49, copy plus, and then 4 minus 5, that is equal to negative 1, then square negative 1, that is equal to positive 1. Next step is we need to add these two numbers here. We have 49 plus 1, that is equal to square root of 50. Now, because 50 is not a perfect square, we need to think of two factors of 50, but making sure that one factor has a perfect square. So we have the factors are 25 and 2. And then if you take the square root of 25, that is equal to 5, take that outside the radical sign. And then for 2, you just have to put it inside the radical sign. So the distance from N to L is equal to 5 square root of 2. For the third side, we need to identify the distance from M to L. So we will be using this formula again. And do the same, substitute the values from the given. We have x sub 2, which is equal to 9. X sub 1 is 8. Y sub 2 is 4. And then y sub 1 is equal to 7. Then let us simplify this. 9 minus 8, that is equal to 1. And then square of 1, that is equal to 1. And then 4 minus 7, that is equal to negative 3. And then square of negative 3, that is equal to positive 9. Next step is we need to combine this. We have 1 plus 9, that is equal to square root of 10. Since 10 has no factors wherein one factor has a perfect square, leave it like that. Therefore, the distance from M to L is equal to square root of 10. Now our last task is to get the perimeter of the triangle M and L. We can do that by adding all the length of the sides. So take note that perimeter is adding all the sides here, A plus B plus C. So since we have identified already the distance between the points on the sides of the triangle, we have here MN is equal to 2 square root of 10, NL is equal to 5 square root of 2, and then ML is equal to square root of 10. We just have to add all the length of the sides for us to get the perimeter. So we have perimeter that is equal to the sum of all the three sides. Then we have to substitute all the given values. We have here perimeter is equal to 2 square root of 10 plus 5 square root of 2 plus square root of 10. Take note that in simplifying numbers with radical sign, you just have to combine those terms with the same radicand. We can only combine 2 square root of 10 and square root of 10. There we have the final answer. 3 square root of 10 plus 5 square root of 2. If we will convert this one into decimal point, this is approximately 16.56 units. Therefore, the perimeter of the triangle MNL is approximately 16.56 units. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button to update you on my next video.